the afternoon of December 8, 2004, this text message rapidly made the rounds of Philippine prayer groups. From Father Arevalo just reported, Our Lady appeared this morning daw, as previously announced, at Batulao, Batangas, about a kilometer from Salesian Retreat House. Its director, Father Paes SDB, saw the Virgin. 300 people were there, some from foreign countries. It had been promised to a local of the barrio, Light and Hale, accompanied. So, what really happened? On the previous afternoon, the 7th of December, some 200 pilgrims made their way up a little mountain behind the Salesian Retreat House of what is often referred to as the Batulao-Calaruega area. Many of these pilgrims had flown several thousand miles for this occasion. They were members of the La Pieta prayer groups that had formed around an overseas contract worker named Emma de Guzman. Several of them, Canadian, American, Polish, and Portuguese, had been her faithful companions and witnesses to the seemingly mystical events that occurred in this simple Filipina woman's life. Mystical events that began with an innocent visit in 1991 to the Fatima Shrine in Youngstown, New York. And for almost 12 years, many of them had seen Emma in a trance-like state, which she claimed, and they believed, to have been an encounter with heaven. What took place that December night would bring Emma to the attention of her countrymen.
I remember that we arrived at the operation site, now called the Mountain of Salvation, at around 2:45 p.m. on December 7, 2004. Now, I was traveling with a group of pilgrims, about 100 of them from the United States and Canada. They were members of La Pieta International, and they had come to the Philippines principally for two reasons. One was to attend the international reunion of La Pieta International. And secondly, they came with high hopes and with real belief in their hearts that the Blessed Mother would appear to Emma for the first time in the Philippines on December 8, 2004. Because December 8 is the birthday of Emma. It is, of course, also the feast of the Immaculate Conception. And December 8, 2004 happened to have been the 100th anniversary of the proclamation of the dogma of the Immaculate Conception. We got off the bus and we walked about a kilometer through a very rocky, very rough road to the operation site. As soon as we got there, everybody put their blankets around the improvised altar. Emma took off her shoes, she was just wearing her socks, and sat down in the middle of this blanket, and we were all ringed around her.
I arrived in Don Bosco, Batulao, 10 o'clock in the evening. It was very late already. And when I went to my room, I saw there was light across the mountain from my room. And so I remembered, oh, this is supposed to be, the eve of the apparition. I was tired. It was unusually cold.
We were all huddled together.
So I wasn't so sure whether I wanted to go. I slept, but I was restless.
Now at about 10:30, suddenly she sat up and she knelt down. Her head moved up. In as quick as a blink of an eye, she had glided over about 4 or 5 meters of loose pebbles. And so suddenly she was there in front at the base of the tree by the miraculous well. Emma was in that position for quite some time. And then suddenly, I saw that she was shaking her head. And then she started to look to the left. She started to look to the right. She did this several times. And the next time she turned to me, I was seated here towards the back on the left side. I could see that her face was so radiant and she had tears, but she was smiling.
Much later, Minetta asked Emma why she kept looking around.
He said, I was turning left and right because the whole mountain was filled with angels, all kinds of angels, all sizes.
But apparently Emma was not the only one who saw the angels. Angela Bataclan, the coordinator of the La Pieta BIR Quezon City chapter, saw them too.
Yes, she was right beside me. And all the while during the apparition, she was like in some sort of a ecstatic hysteria because she can see angels.
So I close my eyes and go back. Well, that was my first time to see that kind of a sight.
And she was like exclaiming, "Do you see them? Do you see them?" And like, of course, I didn't see any. So I said, "What? What?" And then she said, look at them all around, angels all around.
I keep on praying, but my eyes are so busy looking around and feasting on this nice creature.
And she said, each of us had angels in front of us.
All of those people who were there, meron silang kasama. Kasiksik, ganyan, praying. Pero the beautiful part, ayan na, malapit na si Mama Mary. Restless na yung tao, and then, disorganized na, tumatayo na, ganyan. The angels sila, they were kneeling, kneeling and bowing.
Because I didn't see anything while she was saying that. But I don't think because she was really such an ecstatic and to the point that she was in tears.
And there are angels. Remember I told you, throwing small lighted balls. It's a fiery. Fiery, oo. Ball. Pag nakita mo, it's a ball rolling, pero lighted balls. May blue, may green, and they throw. Ganon. Pero nakita ko, they throw sa parts ng body, but many I saw dito sa heart.
So we were all watching, waiting, praying.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee.
And we saw her talking to someone.
Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
But at a certain point, she extended her hand like this, as though she was getting something, and then she drew it back to her face, and she kissed it very reverently. She turned around to us, and boy, her face was so transformed. She was so beautiful and so radiant. And her face was full of glitter, and there was glitter all over the place.
She had her face full of glitters when she turned around to us, and she was just powdered with all glitters all over her face.
Now we know why there was a white sheet that they placed for her, because it had collected a lot of the glitter. It was on her socks.
One of my nieces, she was at the back. She really saw glitters, even at the soul.
And it was the first time that I saw a miracle like that because of the gold dust. But I can't explain where that gold dust, where they came from.
The apparition lasted for about, I think, 15 to 20 minutes.
But I couldn't sleep, so sometime like 12 o'clock something, 12:30 or something, I decided this is useless. I'll just go up, go there, look, come back.
So Emma got up, she turned around, and she seemed so visibly shaken, like somebody she had just awakened.
But I didn't reach the spot. I didn't reach it. I was thinking that um, my bishop might not be very happy that I was there. Since I'm a priest, I would be sort of officially a representative of the church to be there at that time. So I did not reach it.
Oh, that's a lot of sparkle there.
So Emma left, and we all remained. And there was such a heightened excitement, exhilaration, exuberance. Everybody was sharing experiences. Some had seen angels and all kinds of stories going around.
We went upstairs to the bathroom, and then when we came out, people were, so excited. They were looking up in the sky.
Suddenly, I heard somebody saying, "Look, look over there."
There was some sort of a burst of light.
And I looked, and oh, wow, it was a display of light. It was like maybe the tail of a comet, or you know when you have fireworks, at the end of the fireworks you have the remaining things floating down. They were shimmering in the trees, up and down.
I was jumping with joy and adoration.
So I started to be skeptical. I started to think, what kaya if somebody's playing tricks? So I started to look around. It seemed impossible because we were 1 kilometer inside. There was nothing there, no houses, no nothing. In fact, the only thing that was lighting the apparition thing were 2 naked bulbs strung on the trees.
Some people see it here and some people see it there.
Like a waterfall of sparkles. It was just flowing, flowing.
I cannot touch it. I just saw it. I just saw. And so many of us saw that burning.
It's like glitters to me, and there is a very, very strong light. Sometimes you cannot stare on the light.
It's just like a shower of gold dust.
And I remember that part in the Bible where that part about Moses seeing the burning bush. That was what came into my mind, because you can see trees with fire
From the sky.
It's like glitters moving.
It is not like the commercial fireworks, no. It was burning like that, springing from the foot of trees.
But when I looked in the ground, I saw those gold dust in the ground.
It's in the pebbles, everywhere here in the leaves.
This intermittent display of fireworks, of heavenly fireworks, maybe lasted about 15-20 minutes.
That was a very memorable experience.
I must admit that I to say it badly, I sort of not ridicule the Blessed Mother, I ridicule people who, they see this bleeding thing, they see this dancing thing, they see this whatever it is, and they run and they run and they run here and there, like helter-skelter, wherever they find something, parang eager for a spiritual sensation, not a spiritual experience. I used to tell them, why? And things like that. So I'm not really the type who would run to these places,
And I was very grateful that I was there.
I can only count 2 times in my life when I felt such a strong urge to go to a place. Many times, we are urged by curiosity or devotion. That is something that is coming from inside. But the urge I felt that night and that morning was very much from outside. And it was so, so powerful. I could not ignore it. And right after Mass, I walked all the way to the apparition site. Now, by that time, I imagined there would be no more people. And so I would be there, not as a representative of anybody. I'd just be there as a whatever. There were the caretakers there, and I asked them what happened here. And they told me what happened, what they witnessed, and what they saw, sort of heard and saw. And then I went down, prayed the rosary, and I saw the glitters there. That morning, they were all over the gravel floor, and it's strange.
It's stuck to the leaves, it's stuck to the floor.
So of course we got all those gold dusts. And some of those gold dust I used on sick people and they got healed.
I text my provincial, and I told him that the Blessed Mother appeared near our place. He got very excited about it, and texts spread around that that I saw her myself, which I did not. I did not see her.
Somebody called me up, Bishop, the Blessed Mother appeared in the Philippines yesterday, December 8th, and she appeared in your own turf. I said, really? That's good. I said, that's good. That's good news. Aren't you happy that she came to your place? I said, no. Why? I should be happy because she has always been here. I said.
I felt that Mama Mary was really there.
If you ask me, do I believe in this? Officially, I will not declare that. We don't commit ourselves at once. No? But I won't mind. No? If you pray there, you just pray for us. We need your prayers. And if the Blessed Mother is there, well and good. Thanks be to God. And we are privileged that she is in our place. She is always there, no? And she adds another place where we can meet her.
I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to pray for. I was just like dumbfounded.
Stunned is not the word. I just couldn't make out what it is all about. I felt it was leading to something, because I believe nothing happens by chance.
I believe that the Blessed Mother really wants to come and warn us, no? And not just one, but gather us together.
I just couldn't see the picture. That was what was on my mind at that time. What was this all about? Why is this happening? What is this trying to tell me?
Starting with Fatima in our contemporary times, she never tires going anywhere and drawing people everywhere, if only to pray.
If there was all these things happening and the events that night, that morning, and everything else was happening, these are pieces of a puzzle that was coming together.
If there are extraordinary things, well and good, no? But that is not what is important. What is important is that we believe that we have a mother and she cares for us, and she is with her son saving us.
Hindi daw tayo pababayaan ng Panginoon sapagkat ang lupang ito ay pinili niya.
It's not the apparition that is important. It is our accepting our Blessed Mother, who is already there. That is important. No? I am very Marian, no? And I know there is a reason for that. And the Blessed Mother is always where the Lord is. So I will always promote that. I also face opposition, even from my priests who think that I'm just promoting devotions. No? And I said, if I do promote devotions, there is nothing wrong with that. After all, devotion is being vowed to. So I vowed to our Blessed Mother to make her known so that her son will be well known. That's our task.
After that December night, word about what happened on the mountain spread, and devotees began to go in pilgrimage. Many would collect the water from the spring at the base of the tree.
I said, Bishop, we will be praying there. I hope you don't mind. Oh, why will I mind? I said, you pray always anywhere, and you are welcome to pray anywhere in Batangas. Bishop, can you say Mass in that place? That's another thing. But I will do so. I will pray with you also. I like praying to our Holy Mother. But do not tell anybody. And then when I said Mass there, Father Dennis said, Bishop,
I have a group here of retreatants, and I intend to bring them there. Can we have Araw Mass with you there? So we became two big groups already now. And then, some other people know that I was saying Mass there. So they came. I said, do not tell anybody. Everybody knows it.
When he said in his first Mass there, he said, if people ask me, is the Blessed Mother appearing here? My answer is, if she is not, I wish she would. And especially in many other places in my diocese. Okay. And then, do I authorize people to come and pray here? I would like to encourage all people to pray in all the mountains of the world.
Authority means enabling people to become better Christians and to be able to help others. So if these people are doing what they do to pray, to make others pray, I should enable them rather than stop them as if everything should depend on me. It's not true. We are all servants. We are not the source of salvation. Christ alone is.
Emma has had other encounters with the Virgin on that mountain. And twice a year, on the 8th of September and December, vigils were held, and a few hundred devotees again would witness what they believed to be her encounter with the Virgin.
I know what's going on there. It's not that I do it administratively. I follow the events. No?
What impressed me most was there were times when Emma, during the trance, during the ecstasy, would look behind her shoulders and then smile, and then look on the left and then on the right, and look behind for a while. And she was doing like this, and she was doing like that, and then she would smile. She did that twice when I was there, and I asked her what was that all about. Why was she looking behind? Because, in that ecstasy, in that trance, I would like to know what is happening now. And she said those were the times when our Blessed Mother would stop, and she would look at particular people in the crowd and smile at them. Parang she would recognize them and say, I don't know what she would say, but she would recognize them. So she was not parang masa lang na gano'n. No. She recognized particular people there. She was looking particular people. Parang what entered my mind, parang siyang may roll call. No? Oh, present. present. Parang gano'n.
Bago dumating yung Mahal na Birhen, ang mga angels ang dumarating muna. Yung parang bang nagsashanting sila na ang sabi, naririto na ang mahal na ina. Nakita ko yung mga liwanag na they're all around in front of me. Tapos na dun sa gitna, lumitaw yung liwanag dun sa gitna. Nagkaroon ng form dun sa liwanag na yon, dun sa gitna na yon. Tapos naging Mahal na Birhen, and she's wearing the golden sash and then golden mantle. Yung belo niya, gold. Kaya ang salita niya, siya ang ating mahal na ina. I am the mother of love, peace, and joy.
The message to the Filipino people, I found it also very powerful. Parang it was very, very specific for us. And if I understood it well, that we are, as a people, Emma was saying that people were called to be saints, but in the Philippines, the whole nation is called to sainthood, to sanctity. The Philippines has been chosen to, so many popes have already spoken about that, to be the light for Asia, something like that. And it makes sense with all the sufferings we're having. It makes sense. With all the purifications we're having, we're not succumbing to, too much materialism. There is so much faith in our people, and very, very simple faith. So it makes sense to me.
At ang lupang Pilipinas ang pinili niya, sapagkat ang sinabi niya sa akin, ang gift na ipinagkaloob niya sa atin, na kailanman ay hindi mawawala, at iyon ay maibibigay natin sa ating kapwa, ay ang gift of faith. Ginawa po tayong instrumento upang ihatid natin ang kanyang pagmamahal, kapayapaan at kaligayahan.
This is not new to me. And even I did not hear that from visionaries or from those who claim they're close to our Holy Mother. I heard this only from ordinary people, even outside the Philippines. I said, you know, you Filipino people, you're the missionaries of the third millennium. You know God has special love for you.
Come to the mountain of love, peace, and joy. Come, everybody, and see what God has done. Come with joy, or come with Good afternoon, my dear brothers and sisters in Christ. You are here because you feel the love of God, and we receive the healing through the Eucharist that we receive today at the Holy Mass. On the mountain of salvation, brothers and sisters will find a way, holding hands and singing, united as we pray. Let us walk the path together. We are family forever. On the mountain of salvation. On the mountain of salvation.
La Pieta has a few websites, and some of the followers have published books on the messages and their experiences. By and large, however, Emma and her followers managed for almost 12 years to go about their missions without attracting too much attention. But after the 2004 apparition in the Philippines, events escalated, and in December 2006, Action News 3 in upstate New York aired a two-part feature.
After seeing some of Emma's reported miracles, we decided to dig a little deeper. In order to do that, we sought out the help of the Catholic Church, local professors, and SUNY ESF scientists.
Emma de Guzman is not the first person to say she has experienced such miracles as the stigmata or even bilocation and levitation.
But she had the wounds from the crown of thorns.
Sparkles were descending upon everybody. They were all over Emma, her face.
Hands, the feet, the side we've seen come, the back.
Many people we've spoken to while investigating this story have given similar testimonials, including several Catholic bishops and even cardinals. While they said they couldn't speak for the Catholic Church, they personally believe in Emma's gift.
The specimen has to be metallic or something that conducts electricity.
After hearing so many testimonials, we decided to look for hard proof of Emma's gift.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you.
Emma and her followers tell us these sparkles you see on her face appear from nowhere and symbolize the presence of Mary, the Mother of God. So we decided to do some research. We were able to find studies that report the sprinkles' appearance as early as 1917, and it's referred to as escarchas, the Spanish word for frost. We also found results from scientific studies that compare religious escarchas to industrial glitter. To determine if Emma's sparkles are escarchas or store-bought glitter, we took a sample of the sparkles given to us by Emma, as well as a jar of store-bought glitter, to SUNY ESF.
All right, so that goes in there, like that.
To be analyzed under an electron microscope.
Size and shape of the ones that you brought on the card are the same as the ones that you got in the store. They had the same chemical signature, very rich in chlorine. You saw how fast that chlorine peak was growing up.
Next, we subjected Emma's sparkles and the glitter to a battery of chemical tests. Many of our results didn't match those of previous studies. But after exposing both to hydrofluoric acid, we discovered the chemical composition of the glitter changed, while Emma's sparkles remained the same. This mimics previous test results of real divine escarchas. Another key characteristic of real escarchas is it contains fungi and algae. which presented a problem.
Because we can't see the organic composition in this instrument. So if they were of a different composition or something unknown to us, I wouldn't be able to tell that.
Johnson's final conclusion is Emma's sparkles are not industrial glitter, but we are waiting for further test results. We fell short of scientifically proving or disproving Emma's gift, but as Connie Meany tells us, that doesn't mean it's not real.
Whether Emma's gift is ever substantiated or not, she continues to have thousands of followers around the world who believe she will one day be canonized as a saint, and many of them are following her back to their Salvation Mountain in the Philippines next week. I'm Jared Worksman reporting for Action News 3.
I am convinced also that we have been gifted by the Lord so much, especially the gift of faith. No? And I think we have something to do. And the Lord is here in order to achieve many things in our area. That means the fact that we are the only predominantly Catholic nation in Asia is not an accident. No?
Kung ano ang pinangako ng aking anak para sa inyong lupa ay mangyayari. Kung ano yung sinabi niya na ang na-destroy dito ay muli niyang ibabalik, Ako ang inyong ina na nagmamahal sa inyo. Ako ang ina ng kapayapaan at kaligayahan, sapagkat tayo, kayong mga anak ko, ay dadaling ko sa kaharian ng aking anak. Yun, sabi niya. At mahal na mahal niya tayo.
So how did this all begin? Is it possible that an ordinary OFW, an overseas Filipino worker, could be a chosen one of God? This visionary of the Mountain of Salvation still describes herself as just a nanny housekeeper. Yet, she has had an impact on so many lives.
It changed my life completely because I was not going to church for a good few years. And I thought I was okay. I didn't need to go and have a confession because I thought I was okay. But when I saw Emma, I knew I was in darkness. I thought I was in the light, but I was in the darkness.
Since Emma came to our house, we go to the church every day. Every day. It's amazing. From so many years, I don't go to the church. Now I have to go to the church every day. Every day.
Her eyes met mine, and she went way down inside me. I just couldn't believe it. It was a feeling that she knew everything about me.
Emma really amazes me, really. I mean, the messenger is very powerful to me. Her simplicity, her humility, her ordinariness makes her so extraordinary. And that is, I feel very much drawn to her.
Widowed at the age of 25, Emma tried but couldn't find a job that would help her support and educate her 3 children. There was a demand for domestic helpers abroad, so she applied and received an offer to work as a maid in Singapore.
I took that kind of job because I really want to work and support my children.
So for 2 years, Emma worked as a maid. But overseas employment did not give her the financial security she expected. She soon discovered that the Fly Now, Pay Later plan, which the agency had advanced, and their placement fee, would leave her with virtually nothing.
My salary was $250 in the year 1984. So my salary was $250 Singapore. The $200 goes to the agency and $50 from my to my pocket. So that $50 I give to my children. Only that $50. That's why that $50 is not enough for my children because they are studying.
When her contract was about to expire, Emma began to panic.
I don't want to go home because I have no money. And my children, they're asking for all these things that I want to bring. And I said, naku, Diyos ko, sabi ko, paano kayang gagawin ko? How could I bring those things that they wanted me to buy? So I said, I don't want to go home. So I was talking to my friend. And she asked me, all of a sudden, she asked me this, do you know Canada, Emma? And this Canada, oh, it's a country, and they're looking for nanny housekeeper. So that time I didn't even know what is nanny. All I know, domestic maid. So I said, oh, I want to work.
So on her day off, which she enjoyed once a month, Emma went to the church and sat in her favorite spot.
And then all of a sudden, I noticed, there was a little whirlwind, coming towards me. And then there's something, dirt, some dry leaves. But then it's something that it fell, a little piece of paper, something like this. It was like this, very, very small like that, yeah, something like that. And then it fell under my foot like this, it fell. So I pick it up, just to open it. And then when I opened it, I read, said, Ultraman Manpower Service, do you want to work in Canada? Nanny housekeeper. And I saw this address, Toronto, Ontario. So I got goosebumps, and then I said, I have to go home. I was shaking. I didn't even know if this is an old newspaper or what. But when I saw it's Canada, I was just talking to my friend the last month, when it's our day off, about this Canada. So I was shaking, and I went home.
Emma applied and a month later received an overseas call.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, because I'm not good to speak English, So I was shaking, yes, sir, yes, I got your letter, and there's an employer who wanted to sponsor you. Do you really want to work in Canada? That's what he asked. Yes, sir. I said, yes, sir, I want to work in Canada because I am a widow, and I have 3 children. I want to support my children. And then he said, okay, are you Filipina? He asked me, And I said, yes, sir, I'm Filipino. Filipino ako eh. So when I heard that he's Filipino, and I talk in Tagalog because it's so hard for me to speak in English. Sir, kuya, please tulungan mo naman ako. Kuya, gusto ko po makaroon ng trabaho kasi meron po akong anak na 3. Ako lang pong bumubuhay.
Emma got the job, but she had another problem. Her monthly take-home pay for 2 years was only $50, and that she had regularly sent home for her children's expenses. Where was she now to get the money to fly to Canada? So she confided in her friend, whose reaction was typical of the magnanimity of the Filipino heart.
I have already visa, but I don't have ticket. What will I do? I cannot go to Canada because I don't have money. So she said to me, okay, Emma, this is what I'm going to do. This is what we do. I will borrow money from my employer, and I will buy your ticket. But you promise me you have to get me a job there. So there was a total trust that she did for me. And then I said, yes, I am going. When I go to Canada, I will help you. So when I was able to go to Canada, I really helped her. I paid the ticket back, and I also paid the placement fee.
She arrived in Kingston, Canada in May of 1986. Again, she was blessed with a good employer. On her first day off, she went to the park with another Filipina. While seated on a bench, an old man walking his dog approached them.
And then he said, are you Filipina? Oh yes, we are Filipina. I am Filipino too. Oh, it's nice to meet Filipino here. And he said to me, I have a daughter who is single. And do you want to come to my house so I can introduce you to my daughter? And then I said, oh my gosh, I said, let's go Mila, because maybe they have food, maybe they have Filipino food, so we can eat rice, I said. And then so we accepted the invitation. So when we went there, I was so happy because the father of Sol Gaviola was preparing us Filipino food.
Sol Gaviola worked as a medical technologist in the Hospital of Kingston, Ontario. A very kind and caring person, she and her father would invite Filipino contract workers to their home on weekends, feed them Filipino food, and bring them to churches and the various Catholic shrines. They became close friends. Saul was like an older sister and guide, and over the years, Emma became an accepted member of the family. Then in 1991, they went to the Fatima Shrine in Youngstown, New York, to attend a special mass for the Filipino community. Near the gift shop, she saw a little door with a sign that said, "This way to the old chapel."
And when I was there inside, I saw this man standing by the crucifix like this. You know, he's as if he was praying. So I was there standing also, and I pray. I said my prayer, and then I went to the pew, and I knelt down. He knelt down on the other side, you know, at the end of the pew, and I was looking on the Blessed Mother, and like I was not praying, but maybe it's my heart who was praying, because I just cried. Tears was already falling, you know, on my face, you know. And then I was like, I felt something, you know, like there was a little breeze, you know. It was in the chapel was closed, you know. There's no open windows, you know. I felt this small little breeze, you know, coming towards me, you know. And then some, you know, like hand, you know, a warm, gentle hand, you know, touched my face, you know. And I smelled that beautiful fragrance, so strong, very, very strong, that it made me fall, you know, like I was falling, and I was falling, and I was falling, you know, and I was like tingling sensation, like the warm, gentle, that warm inside me. And I was scared because, you know, I was scared, and I look, I can still see the man who was kneeling. When I look at him and to ask help, you know, he disappeared, you know. So I was scared, and I stood, you know, I stood up like this, you know, and then I cannot walk. I want to get out of that room, you know, but I can't walk anymore. It's like I was stuck, you know. So what I did, I crawled, coming out from the chapel. And then my friend was looking for me, and
she had been missing for more than an hour. On hindsight, Emma realized that the man beside her in the little chapel was Jesus. This was the turning point, and almost immediately her life began to change.
You know, when I came out from the chapel, I became like I was so quiet. That after we had that beautiful procession, you know, when I look on people, I could feel, you know, there's something that I can feel on these people. Like I said, oh my God, I said, I'm so sad for her, you know, she's not feeling good, I said. And then I say something again to the other people, oh my God, you know, she had a problem on her back. That's what's happening to me? How come? What's happening to me? Why I know her problem? I said. And then the woman came to me, you know, because they were walking, and I said, Mom, you have a problem on your back. I said, oh yes, I know. How did you know that? You know, how did you know that I have a problem on my back? And I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know.
Fearful and nervous, she began to question what was happening to her. Looking back, it was at this point that it became clear that Saul's friendship had not been an accident of fate. Saul recognized what seemed to be a supernatural dimension to what was happening in Emma's life, and her spirituality and wisdom began to manifest as she took the lead and asked people to come after work and join them in prayer.
So when we were praying, then that's the time that I saw like a vision. I saw this lady smiling at me, wearing a white gown with a gold lining on her mantle, and she has a crown. She's wearing crown, beautiful, and she's smiling at me. And I said to my friend, Saul, there is the lady. She's here, and she's smiling at me. I don't understand why. What's that, you know? So I asked Saul, you know, Saul, what's happening to me? Do you think that I I'm getting crazy. I said, do you think, how come you don't see what I'm seeing? And then every time that we pray, I'm seeing that lady, but in different clothes, you know. Sometimes I see her that she's wearing like a gown colored, green color, but there's so many precious stones, different colors, red, green, blue, you know, around her. And it's like she's like pregnant, you know. I saw her, and then I saw also a lady who was wearing blue sas. And she's the one, my friend is the one who always tell me, she's the Our Lady of Lourdes, you know, because I don't even know the titles, you know. But I know God, the Blessed Mother, but I don't know the titles of the Blessed Mother. All I know, that's the Blessed Mother, the Mother of God.
When I see her, it gives me an idea of how Bernadette was like, how the Fatima children were like, you know, how Juan Diego was like. And most of all, it gives me an idea of what are the kinds of people that really attracts God. You know, God, the kind of people that sort of seduces God. God falls in love with these kinds of people.
I think the Lord showed me in many ways that this person, Emma, was truly, truly sent to do a mission for the Lord.
In the beginning, I just go to the church, but I was a little, you know, I was behind the people. I felt that I was not worthy, you know, to be with them.
We studied humility, we read about humility, we read about the simplicity of the saints and so on and so forth. But it's different when you see it incarnated in a person.
But in my heart, you know, I always trust, like I don't question, I don't ask, I don't want to ask so much, you know, like because I knew that this is my life, then I have to move on, you know. I have to be strong because my life is my children. I have to be strong to work as nanny, housekeeper, because I have to earn more money and to send it to the Philippines because that's my strength. My strength was my loved ones, my children.
She's just not just a holy person, but she's just a down-to-earth, you know, a really nice person.
And one night, you know, I was asleep. You know, I went to my bed, you know, and I was in my deep sleep, really deep. And all of a sudden, I opened my eyes. You know, I saw this lady, the lady that always, you know, I already knew her, you know, because she introduced herself to me. She was holding this long rosary. It's you know, blue colors. It's like crystal, beautiful, you know. And she was smiling at me beside my bed, and she said, "My child," she said to me, "I want you to come. You come with me. Come, let's go down. I will teach you how to pray the rosary."
The lady came on 3 successive nights, and on the last night,
"Now that you know how to pray, anak, you know, like pray, my child," she said, "I want you to pray by yourself." So I prayed, you know, and I did this Holy Rosary, you know, the glorious, sorrowful, you know, and the joyful. Then after I finished, you know, I was on my knees. She was smiling at me, and she said to me again, "My child, I want you to start all over again." And she's smiling at me. It's a long, of course, when you pray, it's a long prayer, you know. And my knees was already shaking, you know. But I cannot even sit down because she was in front of me. So I said, maybe there's something wrong with my prayer. I said, maybe my prayer is not right. I said, so I closed my eyes and I said, I am going to pray the Holy Rosary. So when I pray, I put the sign of the cross in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And then I felt, you know, that light. Close my eyes, and I can see the bright light, you know, in front of me. And I said, I believe in God, the Father Almighty. And then my heart opened up because I said, I believe in God. What I said, I believe in you, Lord. I believe in you. I believe. So when I said it, that, you know how I felt, you know, my heart opened up, and I felt Jesus inside me. I felt, He came inside me. He came inside me, and then I cried. I really cried. The sorrowful. When I was on that sorrowful mystery, I felt that I was there. Sorry, because I cannot. I felt the sorrow, because I saw Jesus. I became a part of that, I was there on that time that Jesus was so sad, and I felt it, and I also experienced, the glorious, in that glorious, I felt that beautiful experience, that I was there also. And then so I cried and I cried and I cried, So after I finished my prayer, I was crying, and the Blessed Mother was smiling. She was smiling, and she asked me, my child, she said to me, "Wait, what did you feel when you prayed this? This last that I asked you?" And she said to me, I said to the Blessed Mother, I felt the Lord inside me. My heart opened up, and now I understand. I understand the Lord. I understand the prayer, the Holy Rosary. It's the Lord. It's the journey of God. And then the Blessed Mother said to me, that is the real prayer. That's the true prayer, anak, my child, that you did coming from your heart and in your mind. So I really felt God inside me. Then later on, I felt this passion since I understand and I knew God already in my life. And I know I believe in God, but I didn't know the Lord. I just know the Lord, that God is here, but I don't even know God. So Blessed Mother taught me how to pray, and I understand. I understand that rosary. We have to pray the rosary because that's Jesus. That's Jesus, the story of the Lord and the Holy Rosary. Then I understand now about God, and I feel now I'm feeling all this, the pain, the sorrow, the joy, the message, love, peace, and joy is in that sorrow that, to be with God is to have to accept everything. Accept whatever God wants you to do, you have to accept it with all this, because God loves us so much, and then the message that He said to me about Pieta, then I understood. Then Jesus said, you will carry this Pieta. It's been open around the world that I didn't even know. I didn't even know Pieta. And then I realized the message, Pieta, the meaning of Pieta is compassion, pity, loyalty to the highest degree, loyalty to the Lord, loyalty to God who created us, a profound love that neither life nor death can destroy, that we have to love the Lord, total surrender to the will of God. So that's the meaning of Pieta, and that's what I carry. And I thank God that He always helped me, even though that I don't even know anything, total surrender to what He said to me. Yes, Lord. I didn't say yes, Lord, but it's my heart who said it. Yes, Lord, because I don't even know anybody in Canada. I don't know people in Canada. But because I believe in God, God came to me. I just trust whatever He said to me, and that's still I'm still doing it. And I thank God that people who heard about this, love, peace, and joy, the people, become prayerful. It's only simple, very simple, love, peace, and joy, but it's so hard. Very hard to feel it, because I felt, there's no peace anymore for my brothers and sisters here, like love for the Lord, And maybe that's the reason that God said, you have to spread this message, love, peace, and joy, because I chose you, little child.
She taught me how to pray. She taught me how to love the Lord. Everything that the Lord wants of us, she was teaching us.
Through Emma, I've learned forgiveness. And forgiveness is freedom.
So it changed my life, so I went back and had a confession and started going to Mass every day and staying for adoration. And I do this till now.
Known fondly to the group as Mama, Baslisa L. Tanal and her husband were the first to witness Emma in a trance.
There was a bright light in front of me that I was covered with that light, and then there was a figure, you know, and I heard a voice. I couldn't even look because it was really bright. And then I heard a voice and said, "My child, I want you to get up and look at me." So because I was prostrating myself. So I got up and I was on my knees and I was like this. It's like I felt that I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy to look, and I felt that I was little, like it's a little dot. I felt that I was a little dot, you know, on that time. And then he said to me, "I am your Lord." He said to me. He introduced himself to me. "I am your Lord. I am. He said to me, you know, and he said something. He said something about me, and he said that I am your Lord, and you have a mission to carry my child. And said, you know, I want you to find the sacred book that all the questions that you want to know are in that book, that sacred book. It's the light, you know, there was a pulsating light. He was talking to me on that pulsating light and asking me to find that sacred book. And I had to find it, you know, so I went to the library and find the sacred book.
She didn't find it in the library, and while she was taking care of Saul's father, she thought she found it in the hospital.
I was reading while he was being treated. I was sitting and I saw this book. You know, I felt in my heart, wow, this is the sacred book. You know, so I held it and I took it, you know, home. And it's the New Testament. So I was reading it, but I felt that it's not that book, you know. So I returned the book again to the hospital.
Then one day, while Emma was in the park looking after her employer's children, Saul drove back from attending her daily mass. She had a book in her hand.
So as soon as I touched the book, it was a brown book. I didn't even read it. I just put my hand, I touched it, and then something happened to my heart, you know. There was, you know, my heart, you know, it's like a tingling sensation, just like what I felt, you know, when the first time, you know, I was in Fatima. I felt it, you know. Oh, my Lord, I said, my Lord, I said, this is the book, Lord, because I felt the whole, that, you know, because the other one, it's beautiful, but it's not really complete, you know. But when I touched it, my God, this is the book that you're asking me to, you know, to find it, that all the questions that I want to understand is in that book. I said, so when I opened it, I saw it's Holy Bible, and I cried, and I looked up, and I was holding that book, you know, and I was crying, and Saul was crying, and I looked up, you know, on the sky, and I saw angels, you know.
Emma started to read.
When I read it, there's a note there, please take me home and use me. That's the message.
With this began her education in the faith.
I was reading, it's become like alive, you know, and I felt that I was there, you know. I felt that, and then now I'm learning, I'm understanding, you know, the questions, you know. So I said, no question, I'm not gonna question. God said to me, you are my little child that I chose. My Father chose you even before you were conceived in your mother's womb, and you have to serve me, my child. Your mission is for your brothers and sisters, for healing and conversion, to open their eyes to see, to open their ears, to open their hearts, to love me and to come back to me.
expected that Emma is gonna look like a, very special lady, and I'm gonna see right away that she's so special. But when she opened the door, she was simple, very humble woman. She was dressed like a normal housewife.
I said, Lord, why did you choose me? I don't even know, Lord, how to pray. I don't know how to speak English. I said, because I'm just nanny. And I have that inferiority complex with people because I knew that I am a nanny. I am a nanny and I'm not worthy to be with people. And Jesus said, that is why I chose you, my child, because you don't know anything. I will teach you, my child. So from then on, when he said to me, I will teach you, my child, there was a total surrender to what he said to me.
Soon people heard about Emma and joined their prayer group, and the mission spread.
I'd heard of Emma 2 years before I actually met her from several people, and she had a prayer house in Kingston.
We were a little bit shocked. That was the first time we came up, and we came in, and we looked, and I thought, this is more than even a church. We were just about tempted to go around to go out the door, but then we changed our mind.
There wasn't a big crowd, but there were people here. And so it was very beautiful, and we were excited about it all, and the Spirit was just lifting us.
We said, what is this? But anyway, we were so impressed with Emma. We said, it's Emma and Saul. Then we got to the door, and Emma looked at us. We're all tall, and she's short. She said, you have a mission. I looked at her. We have a mission? She said, yes. Oh, we got in the car, and I said, is this mission impossible?
And she said, do you know that you have a mission to do? I never heard that before. And I thought, what does this mean? I didn't know.
And Betty said, what does that mean? We have a mission. What does it mean, a mission? What's a mission?
And before leaving, she put her arm around me, and she said, so gently, do you know how much Jesus and Mother Mary love you? I'd never heard anyone say that to me before, and I felt this hope and this exhilaration. I was just so happy.
We just went and sat in the car, and all of our hearts was filled with so much love that we were almost crying.
We were just so excited. We couldn't wait for the next weekend, or even Wednesday was the prayer meeting. And we'd stay here at night, and first till 10, till 12, till 1. It was unbelievable. We didn't know about the time. We say, oh, Emma's got to go to work tomorrow, we better leave. We didn't seem to care. We just, and it's 80 miles to go down and 80 miles back. And we never missed Wednesday, and then we get the weekends too. We said, Saul, are we going on a mission? Yes, we're going to go on a mission the weekend. Okay.
Monday night, we would start to be so excited. We were so excited. We'd get our food ready early so that we could eat early so that we can get down here. We would prepare Bill at work, and he'd throw his lunch pail and rush, and we'd get into the car with the girls, and we would drive down here.
Oh my goodness. When we first walked into her home, what we first saw was the Santa Nina was oiling, and other statues were oiling, and we were so overwhelmed we didn't know what to look at first.
And after a while, I started to believe. I think it was almost like the Lord was telling me, this is my child, believe her. And that kind of changed my thinking.
I was just overwhelmed to be a part of that, to be able to see that and experience that.
I started coming every Wednesday. I would get shifts off at work, I'd switch them with people, and I'd be so tired, but I had to be here. It was something I felt. And during this time, my conversion was happening.
I believe that the long prayers and saying the rosaries for old ladies who are coming to church. But in a year after that, I had a conversion, and I joined the prayer group, and I could not stop till now.
It's just that I think it is a feeling that the Holy Spirit brought us there, guided us there for a reason or other, because the neighbors around here don't know of Emma. They didn't know that anything was going on. Although there was cars parked all around, the driveways, down the street and everything, they didn't know what was going on.
The neighbors didn't know that what was going on in that tiny house would spread all over the world. And the more they prayed, the more they went on mission. And the prayer groups multiplied.
Although there's Portuguese, there's French people, there's Polish people that comes to the prayers, they all do their prayers in their own language, and it all starts at the same time and it finishes at the same time.
The missions then began to travel from Canada to the U.S. The Galtieri couple set up the Mother of Joy prayer house when the Blessed Mother appeared to Emma in property they owned in Syracuse, New York. Soon Emma would meet a very devout Catholic who would be strongly committed to her mission and become her benefactor.
And they mentioned to me that there's a special visionary coming down from Canada on Sundays. And during the Mass, I looked over and I saw her face turn all silver. And I said, this is a very special, very, very special person, I said. I was really excited about this whole situation. So then the next day, Emma would invite me to different missions, you know, Emma and Saul, and I would go up.
Prayer groups began to sprout throughout the U.S.
We felt the littleness and the humility, and we could feel the awesome power of God when we prayed here, which is that peace that you don't find in a lot of prayer groups.
I first heard Emma speak out in Emmitsburg, Maryland, and she just really touched my heart with her joyfulness, her love, her humbleness.
La Pieta namin sa Washington, we have prayer every Sunday. Fully booked kami niyan for the whole year.
Prayer groups formed overseas. Anya brought Emma to Poland.
And I got to know a few priests there. In 2003, it was accomplished because Emma was able to come, and there was 5 prayer groups created.
Currently, aside from the US, Canada, and Poland, there are prayer groups in France, Portugal, Sri Lanka, West Indies, and the Philippines.
Prayer meetings are wonderful. The prayers are great. It's not only the miracles and the apparitions and all the other gifts that you receive. It's a general holy feeling and the nice pleasantness of and the peacefulness and the joy. Like Blessed Mother, it's amazing because that's the way you feel when you're within the prayer meeting. You feel joy, happiness, you feel love, you feel all the nice things like the Blessed Mother promised.
So, a historical reality, no matter how painful, and the reality of a people so humble being dispersed all over the world has been the instrument of God for evangelization.
And I have, through the years, experienced things with Emma that I've never experienced with any other person.
Lahat ng mga nangyayari kay Emma from the beginning, alam na namin. Mga miracles, mga sparkle, oil, or any other thing na nangyayari kay Emma, the Holy Host, yung mga flower, yung ano.
She was praying in the chapel, and she received the gift of the light of healing. And she asked us to touch her hand, and we all went over to touch her hand. And she was just emanating with the most beautiful fragrance. She had oil on her hands, oil on her face, and this most beautiful fragrance just filled the whole place.
One of the most common but remarkable occurrences that happened to Emma is what they call the sparkles, or glitter, or gold dust, what is also known in Latin America as escarchas.
Right in front of our eyes, as soon as she started to talk about the Blessed Mother, she sparkled right there. We said, look.
I seen that load of sparkles that she got hit with, when the apparition was going on.
It would start on the face, and what would happen is it would go a gray. The gray gets darker, and then it's gold, or it's multicolored.
And I remember turning and looking at Emma, and at that moment, Emma did not look like Emma. It was like this beautiful lady, and the sparkles started appearing on her face. I never witnessed that. So I was shocked, but I was like a child. I came to her and I touched with my finger and I put it on myself.
And we saw it on her forehead, and at first I thought,
I didn't see that when it wasn't there, and I didn't see it get there, and I don't not believe, but I'm not going to go home and tell everybody I saw a miracle. You know, but after that happened, many times we saw the gold just appear on Emma's forehead, and then I didn't care what people thought.
She turned around and she said, "Good evening." And she was covered with what I would call sparkles. And my first reaction was I looked up to the ceiling because I thought there was a little hole up there. I thought there's a hole and somebody's upstairs dropping this stuff down. But that's not the way it was.
And as we were talking, the sparkles came right in front of me. I'm like a foot away, and I'm like, my eyes are getting big, and she says, "What? What is it, Bill?" I said, "You have sparkles all over your face." I said, "I thought we have to pray in order this to happen." "Oh no," she said, "not so." He says, "We're actually praying, we're talking about Jesus. So we're in essence praying."
At times, the sparkles were not just on Emma, but on other people and even on her surroundings.
We saw the tree covered with, all the bark was covered with gold dust.
We've also seen it materialize. We were here one night when she was preparing for a mission in the Philippines, and we were packing rosaries and scapulars into little bags. And as we were doing it, all of a sudden the table was covered with gold dust. And that wasn't there when we started. It was just falling, and you could see it as it's just about to land on the table.
I thought in the beginning, I thought it's a sweating or something. Afterwards, I realized it's all gold dust, sparkling. As I took in the camera also. So, and also afterwards, it's all perfume all around here. So it was new to me, but I never doubted. So God can do miracles.
Those who prayed with her all these years have witnessed much, much more.
The one that impacted on me the most significantly was the Passion and Stigmata, where I was here praying with her and actually saw the bruising, the bleeding, the thorns. When I first saw the thorn bleed, I wanted to run. I thought, I can't take this. There's something here that I just can't get a handle on this. It's too much. But then something made me stay. For 5 years, I was a witness to this Passion and Stigmata.
And she started to bleed from the forehead, and my husband touched the little thorns there. There were really thorns there. A lot of blood. And when she rinsed it off, the little holes, they closed right up, and everything disappears.
She was being scourged, and she got up and she moved to the edge of the white thing, and you could just, her lips were going like a baby go, you know, like that. It was so painful, you could, like that. It was just, your heart is broken just watching it.
When the scourging started, they would pick up the back of her gown that she had on. It was done in a modest fashion. You could see the scourging was started, and there was just like 2 or 3 slash marks. And then in like 5 minutes, there'd be like maybe 22 or 3, whatever. You could see the numbers increasing, and her whole back had the marks from the scourging.
At the beginning, you could count, but later, you couldn't count anymore.
I believe in God, the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth. I believe in Jesus Christ, His only Son, our Lord. He was conceived by the power of the Holy Spirit and born of the Virgin Mary. He suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified and was buried. He descended to the dead. On the third day, he rose again.
I'll never forget, too, one other thing I'll never forget is on Good Friday, she was laying down prostrate like this, as if she went through the stigmata, the scourging, and it was like she went through the crucifixion. And she was laying down straight, and at the time she started to come up, I looked at my watch.
And the whole top of her body just elevated right up off the floor.
Without end, amen. O my Jesus, forgive us our sins, save us from the fire of hell, and lead all souls into heaven, especially those who most need of thy mercy.
The third sorrowful mystery, the crowning with thorns.
And her hands went out, and she was speaking in a different language. And then her head fell to the side.
Now and at the hour of our death, amen. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death, amen.
I'm by background, I'm an engineer. I'm a degree in metallurgy, engineering. And I like my watch exactly right. And I want the time to be perfect because I like exact time. And I looked at the time and it was exactly 12 noon. And that, I got the shivers because not long before that I was watching a documentary on television where a lot of biblical scholars believe that the time of Jesus when he was crucified was not 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but many think it was 12 noon exactly. And then they, they went into why it was that time. And that was, kind of amazing,
We couldn't seem to take it. We understood that it wasn't only Emma, and she was, but it was the Lord. Actually, it was the Lord's passion.
One evening during the prayer meeting in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, a Wednesday evening, Emma started to experience excruciating pain. And the way that we knew that was she was bending and moaning and going, aray, aray, which we didn't know was Filipino for pain.
Grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death.
And she reached during this time into her blouse, and in great pain and difficulty, she pulled out from her chest roses one at a time. Tiny, tiny pink roses. There was no thorns and no leaves.
And blessed is the fruit of thy womb,
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners.
When we were praying, I felt, I cannot, it's like I was vomiting. I felt that I wasn't to vomit, and then I felt that something become heavy, heavy, heavy in my heart,
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord.
And I felt there's something here inside that's coming out. It's like there's something that is going to stick out, come out, and it's so painful, very painful.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death.
And it's like I want to remove it. So it's here, when I felt the pain,
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee.
It was really painful that my body was like this, shaking and shaking.
Now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb.
I jumped up to look, and Emma's pulling out these small roses, and you could see the saliva on them, like they've been through her body. Yeah, mucus, they were slivy-like, and no petals, just the stem.
When it came out, it was coming bud first, and what I noticed is that the buds were very, like almost the size of your finger, and they seemed to get bigger when they came, they came out bigger. In fact, some of them even kind of like opened up. But they came first without the thorns, you would see.
And then they lined them all up there, and the fragrance was so strong through the whole house,
And I went over and I looked, and there was the most perfectly formed circle here in her chest. And on that circle was a tiny drop of blood. And Soul said, touch this. I said, I can't. I felt this reverence and this awe. So she said, well, touch around it. So I went like this around the area, and it was a very soft, mushy feeling, almost like there was a cavern in there.
And but the one person I do remember that touched the rose in the hole, touched the hole, and actually put her finger in the hole was Mama. And when she took her finger out, there was like, not like blood, but it was like a liquidy substance that came from the hole. And when she did that, we went, oh, whoa.
May butas talaga dito. And you could see the hole with the blood, the oil, and you could see it close before your eyes.
Jesus said to me, he cannot give me his nails, and he gave me that flower. It's love, it's a gift from God, from Jesus. And the five flowers that came out the last time that I had, you know, for the 5 wounds of Jesus.
I don't think that we were really understood at the time. At least I didn't understand any of what was going on. We knew that it was from God. We knew that she was really from God. And we didn't ask no questions. Whatever came, we accepted.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. God's power through her.
While the manifestations that we have already shown you may seem incredible, there is another that impresses even the most skeptical.
That is what impresses the priests I talk to the most, because we study scripture, that there is this light, that there is this glitter, that there is this whatever it is, that there are these pictures, and when they take pictures there are these images, okay. But when they see the writing in Greek and different passages from scriptures, meaning they are not new revelations, but different, you know, of what has already, because the revelation is already established, that impresses many.
This Filipino widow from the province of Cabanatuan, Philippines, who had difficulty in speaking, reading, and writing in English, began to receive and write messages in various languages, including Portuguese, Aramaic, and ancient Greek.
Emma was facing our Blessed Mother, still looking up, her eyes were closed, and she began to write. And she began to write very quickly. And it was the whole page was symbols, very neat symbols. And nobody knew what it was. So it almost looked like hieroglyphics or something. Well, gosh, I said, I know a gentleman who runs a restaurant here in Kingston, and he's Greek, Mike. I said, I could ask him what this is. So I unfolded the paper, and he looked at it. He was like this, and he said, this is right from the Bible. Where did you get this? And he said, this is Greek. And he said, this is a very difficult language to learn. And he said, there's hardly any universities at all that will ever teach this. And he sat down with it, and he was shaking his head, and he started to translate it. It was signed by Ioannis, and he said that was John, St. John, he said it would be.
One of the things that really amazes me too is when St. John the Apostle appeared to her, she would be kneeling, looking straight, you know, where St. John was, and then she would, like, you know, move her hand to let someone know she needed like a pen and paper. And I remember Soledad would put a legal pad, a regular 8.5 by 11 legal pad and a pen, and she was looking straight ahead at St. John, and she was writing like this, and from the top to the bottom, the whole page was written in ancient Greek. And the lines were straight too, which is amazing, because if you tried to do that, you know, write in your native language, whatever it is, I'm English, it would, you know, the lines would go up and down and all.
When I was writing what he wants me to, you know, because I knew that I was writing, you know, it's like whenever I see him, he's there, and then I see these characters, you know, I cannot, I just follow. Even it's like this, you know.
Emma would be able to write looking up or down with her eyes closed. Incidentally, when on several occasions her eyes were checked and eyelids forced open, only the whites of her eyes were seen. In December 2006, on the Mountain of Salvation, Emma again received a message similar to the ones we've just described.
Oh, beautiful Mother, on this day we give thee our love.
We suggested that the message be shown to biblical scholar Father Renato Lopez.
When I read the first line, which says, Agapitoi me panti pneumatipis tuete, I knew immediately that this would come only from the first letter of St. John. The Greek of the Bible, which is so-called koine, meaning to say the popular Greek of the time of Jesus and of the apostles. It is not classical Greek, but it is koine Greek. It is text of St. John.
All right.
There's no doubt about it. It tells us to distinguish spirits, because not every spirit is true. See? It tells us that every spirit that acknowledges Jesus Christ is a true spirit, whereas those that do not acknowledge Jesus Christ are not true spirits.
When asked where one could have access to this text, and if it would be possible to memorize something like this, Father Lopez replied,
One can copy from the text of the Bible, the New Testament. But you can see immediately from the writing that the one who wrote this did not actually know Greek. Because, for one, there are no accents. Second, there are no punctuations. And the letters are not very clear. For example, the letter N and the letter U are written almost in the same way. So it cannot be from one who knows Greek, not even the script itself. It's like one who writes normally in Chinese would copy a script that is written in our script, the Roman script, without knowing how to write A or B or C. Something like that happens here.
We asked him what he thought.
I don't know. I don't know how the text was produced. I don't know how the text originated. I don't know who wrote it. I just knew by reading simply a few words of the text that this could come only from the Bible. It is evident, from the first verse that this could come only from the Bible. I wondered how, this could be produced without actually looking at the text. Because if you ask me to actively write in Greek, I cannot. It's like if you dictated to me, I will be able to write that because I can hear and I know the Greek phonetics. So I can write that down. But to write from memory is very difficult for me, even if I knew the text of the Bible. I felt like either one is copying from a text or has an extraordinarily good memory to be able to write this from memory, or a third explanation could only be supernatural. But I don't know how the text was produced. I can only read it.
In the previous segments, we reported that the phenomena surrounding Emma's journey would equal, if not rival, the manifestations given to many famous visionaries of the last century. While the ones that we have already presented to you, like the glitter, the oil, the stigmata, the passion, and the writing in foreign languages may seem amazing, there's still more. Those praying around her have often reported that while in a trance, they have seen her receive what seemed to them to be manifestations of heaven. She would wake from her trance holding strange flowers or rocks that seemed to be flecked with gold, and even what she said was an angel's feather, which astonishingly seems to have lengthened over time, and upon close inspection, a tiny new feather appears to have developed at its base. There were even several gemstones that had fallen from her head, one of which is even thought to be a rough diamond. These all have been recorded, carefully kept, and stored for safekeeping.
Well, they were all, remember, on the floor? They were falling. They popped out of Emma's head, came the stones, and I can't recall how many there were.
There was quite a few that had fell. They had fell on the carpet, and Emma saw that, picked them up, and everybody was so excited. So they all got up, and everybody wanted to see them. She was showing them and showing them.
I'm sitting there and I'm looking at Emma, and while I was looking at her, I started to look at her forehead, and a bulge was coming on her forehead. And I just raised myself up and I started to walk over, and I wanted to touch it. So I reached out and I got maybe that far from her head. Just as I went to do that, pop, it popped right out and onto the floor. What an experience.
It seems that she not only reads souls, but sees them as well. Another great mystic of the last century, Padre Pio, now saint, would recount how departed souls would show themselves to him and report that they had been given permission by God to approach him and ask for prayers. Astounding as this may seem, Emma claims to have had such encounters. She claims that a Saint Mary Magdalene de Pazzi, a nun in her early 20s, had come and brought her souls in purgatory to pray for.
She appeared to me and she said, you know, she was wearing also the brown habit, and she told me that she became she introduced herself to me. Her name is Magdalene, Pace, Italy, and she was a nun when she was in early 20s, something like that. God has given her the grace, to come back, and speak to me, to talk about the souls in purgatory, that we have to pray the souls in purgatory.
Pat Brady recounts what she witnessed one Lenten season.
She was a very grayish color, and she was shaking. Her whole body was shaking. Her eyes were closed, and she started to call out names. Like, for example, Maria, 1842. And then she would call out another name, who are you? Or say, who are you? And another name of a different person in a different year would come. And this went on for about 10 minutes. And then Emma was silent. And her color started to come back. She said, Saul, I saw people, I heard people calling me. And they asked for prayers. And they were asking for help.
And I also experienced to meet this soul. The name was Mariano Rivera, and he told me that he died in 1631. He said to me, I came to you to ask for prayers that one day I will be in heaven. After the Holy Week, and I came back from myself with all the passions, and I woke up, I saw him, that he was with Saint Mary Magdalene de Pazzi, and then I saw this beautiful, the bright light, coming from, from heaven, and there was stairs, white stairs, light, and then there were angels, coming down, and they were waiting for Mariano Rivera, and he was wearing this like a soldier. When he went to the third step, going up to that light, to that door, light door, he changed completely. He become, there was a glorified face and body become changed. There was no clothes anymore, no more uniform of the soldier, and he changed completely. And he was waving his hand like this, and I tried to hold his hand because I want to go with him, but it didn't happen.
Not only has she claimed to have seen the souls of the departed, she says that she has been with some of the angels and saints.
Yes, they become my friends because they're helping me, in prayers, they said to me that whenever I pray, they are with me, and especially when I pray the rosary, the Blessed Mother is always there. The most beautiful saint that I met was Saint Bernadette. I was watching her, and then she looked at me like this, and she said, "What happened to me will happen to you." That's what she said to me. I didn't understand what she said, and she is so beautiful, very, very beautiful. I also saw Saint Teresa of Avila. She's like a model, she's beautiful too. It's like she's so smart, very, very smart.
When asked why she used the word model to describe Teresa, Emma replied,
The way she's done like she's rich, because when a person is rich, you can see how they're
confident.
Yeah, like that, And I saw her like she's so very intelligent, This is like a smart saint,
Saint Faustina helped her to pray the Divine Mercy.
She's beautiful also. She's tall. I think that was Mercy Sunday.
It was the 9th of April 2005. Emma was in the Philippines on the Mountain of Salvation. John Paul II had passed away, and the Blessed Virgin appeared to her at 6 o'clock in the evening.
And then she said to me, "Here is the successor of Peter, Carol Joseph Wojtyla. He is my saint." That's what she said to me. And then there was light, on the right side. And then I saw this figure becoming clear, and then become Pope John Paul II, And then Saint Peter, who was beside him, who's a little small, he's small. Saint Pope John Paul II was wearing gold gown, with a beautiful, the light, gold, and he was wearing this gold high, with a gold cap, like hat, the hat. And then, he was walking. He was walking in front of me by the altar, and then he knelt down. Then he kissed the ground. So when I saw him that he kissed the ground, I went there, and I kissed too. And the Blessed Mother said about Pope John Paul II that we can also ask as an intercessional prayer to the Pope, that the unity and peace, for the whole world, he can intercede us. So she said to me that he is a saint.
And she says it is Saint John the Evangelist who gives her the messages in Greek.
Saint John, he looked like a beautiful, the face like a woman, because beautiful face, beautiful, so young, very young. And I was able to touch his hand, and I kissed his hand. I just looked at him and I was writing that like that. With love, I can feel the love in him, because I didn't know that the writings that I was doing was about love, so that's, it's a gift, And people question me about it. How come how come you receive this kind of messages that you didn't even understand? Then why don't you ask that, How come? It's supposed to be that message that we can understand. And I said, no, I cannot question. I don't want to question, because God is the one who knows.
She put her hands on me and went on my head, and when she did, it was like electricity and a shock went right through me, and warmth. I never experienced that before.
Through the years of Emma's ministry, there have been physical and spiritual healings. Only in the last year was a serious attempt made to collate and document these testimonies. Even while we were taping the missions in the US and Canada, reports would filter back to us about people who were healed. We were already at the Marian Manor in New Jersey when we received word about the testimony of the pastor of Our Lady of Pompeii Church in Syracuse, New York. The parishioners reported that during his homily at all the weekend masses, Father Angelicio testified that he asked Emma to pray over him as he would proxy for a woman who would be having surgery for a large growth on her stomach. Then he went on to say that just before the scheduled surgery, another MRI was performed to see the condition of the growth, and when the doctors were reviewing the MRI, one doctor said to the other, "Where did it go?" The other doctor said, "I don't know, but it was there." When Father gave his testimony, he said, "That woman is my mother." Wally and Mary Rose had come to the Marian Manor to visit at the time that we were filming this documentary. Wally had difficulty walking and had been limping heavily due to a severe attack of gout. Mary Rose was worried about a lump in her breast that had been detected by a mammogram. Before they left, Emma prayed over them. The next day, we received a text message from Wally. He had walked 14 blocks in Manhattan, and as he walked, the pain and the gout disappeared. Mary Rose, on the other hand, had breast tissue extracted for some tests. When the results arrived several weeks later, not only was the sample benign, the lump had disappeared. Mama and Papa El-Tanal had been with Emma for 16 years. Then Papa was diagnosed with cancer, and he was bedridden in the Philippines for a year. He was in the 4th stage of cancer. Emma came to pray over him in December of 2004.
He can walk now, but before the doctor told me that he was already of his cancer, he was already in the stage 4. So I cried because the doctor told me that if you are already in the stage 4, the longest month that you can live is 4 to 6 months. And until now, he is alive.
Dr. Glenda Canlas testifies that in January 2007, her son woke up unable to walk. She called her husband, the famed orthopedic surgeon Dr. George Canlas, and rushed the boy to the hospital. He was diagnosed to have a rare case of viral myositis. That first evening, her friend rushed to the hospital to bring her the sparkles. They taped it onto the boy's leg. He made a full recovery and was discharged in less than 2 days and is fine till now. In 2004, Leanio Lopez had been diagnosed with a stage 1 tumor in his right pelvis. He had an operation, but in 2006, there was a reoccurrence and he had to undergo oral chemotherapy and then radiotherapy. He thought it was under control, but a CT scan in 2007 brought even more bad news. The cancer had appeared in his left pelvis. So on the 8th of September, he went with La Pieta members to the Mountain of Salvation.
May naamoy po ako na sa tanang buhay ko nung ko lang naamoy yung ganong uri ng bulaklak.
He couldn't forget that fragrance as he continued to pray for healing. 2 months later, he had another scan and went to his doctor. Not only had the disease in his right pelvis stabilized, the tumor on the left had disappeared. Clearly, one of the more spectacular testimonies is about Isabelita Palma, sister of the former chief finance officer of Mirant, Philippines. Oji Villamar had heard about Emma from his close friend, Noel Arañas, who had given him a little card with the escarchas. He brought the glitters to Vancouver when he was told that doctors wanted to remove his sister's life support as her condition was hopeless. Something had happened to her heart while she was being treated with radiation for breast cancer, and her organs began to fail.
My only prayer at the time is for our Lord, for Mama Mary, to give her longer life because of her only child. At the time, she has 8-year-old child. So that was a simple prayer. Sorry.
The life support would be removed the next day, so Oji spent that night at his sister's bedside in the ICU. He remembered the card with the glitters and put it in her hand.
Then suddenly, she moved and started removing her tube from her mouth on her own. I was shocked, so I stood and I tried to grab her hand, and she was very strong. So all the nurses, all the doctors came, and they were wondering what happened, and said, and the tube were, already protruding like this, and they started removing it. She was looking at me, and I spoke in Tagalog. I said, "Masakit ba?" Sabi niya, "Hindi. Natutulog ako." Sabi, which was true because I was there watching her. And then I said, "No, that's miracle." So she closed her eyes and started praying. And the doctors thought that when she closed her eyes, she was dying. But they were looking at the monitors. It was there. It's normal. And until morning, and until she got out of the hospital, the tubes were never put back. And they could not understand why, and they have made the test again. And my sister told me that the tests were all negatives.
Papasalamat ako sa lahat at syempre sa Panginoon Diyos na siya lang talaga, wala nang iba. Wala nang ibang makakatulong sa atin kundi siya.
But despite her gifts, Emma was not given the grace to change the fate of her dear ones, especially that of her dearest friend and soul sister, Saul.
When she asked me, "Emma, please tell to God, I know that you talk to the Lord." She said to me, "Tell to the Lord, even I have no feet, even I have no legs, it's okay with me. Just tell Him to give me another chance to live because I want to do the mission." And I talked to the Lord, and Jesus talked to me that the message is about the sufferings, sufferings, and make her strong, because when I was in the Blessed Sacrament, Jesus spoke to me in my heart at the Blessed Sacrament, and He talked to me about the suffering. Suffering is a gift. Offer all your sufferings at the foot of the cross. This cross will be your resting place, and I will inflame you with my love. You will see my face. I will say to you, "Welcome home, my child. Receive the eternal love, peace, and joy in my kingdom." When I got that message, I spoke to my friend. I went to the hospital and I talked to my friend. I don't want my friend to die, but that's the way. So I said, "Here's the message, so sufferings, God loves you so much. It's like it's about time." So my friend total surrender to the will of God. She left with peace in her heart, so beautiful.
And during this time, my conversion was happening. And that was the transition from my bitterness and my anger and the binding of my own heart, which I was doing myself by holding on to this anger. It was during this time, with my knowledge of Emma and her presentation of Jesus to me and the need for love and forgiveness, Jesus helped me forgive through Emma, something I never thought I ever could. And in that forgiveness came the greatest freedom.
I'm so blessed, to see all these people that their life changed, and I always thank God, because I'm not worthy. I am a sinner, but I'm able to help them, to change their life, to know God and to love Him so much.
The Marian Manor in Bloomsbury, New Jersey, is just a 12-minute drive from the famous Shrine of the Blue Army of Fatima. In 1997, Bill Pote bought this farmhouse from the nuns of the Blue Army, and while reading the Bible passage about helping widows and children, he received a very strong inspiration to offer it as a home for Emma.
I have this big, beautiful house, and I like to see maybe she should be here.
In my dreams, my visions, when I go to the church, when I pray, I see that the little tree under the tree, and then I dream of the blue house, and then I was on that floor, the red bricks, and outside the bricks, the red stone, I said, and the house is blue.
I invited her down, said, "Please come down and visit this place." So she did come down, and it was on on February 7th.
I felt the presence of Our Lady when the door opened up, when Bill opened the door. I just, wow, the Blessed Mother is here, I said. And all of a sudden, I said, wait, I said, I have been here. I said, I know this place. I said, I have been here. I said
to her, Emma, maybe this is the place where you're supposed to be at, because I have to make a decision.
And I was looking and then I got goosebumps. I remembered, the little tree where Jesus always come to me and said, get up, my child, get up, my child. Every time I have problem, I was there praying, I was there. Oh my God, this is the place where the Lord takes me. This is the place where the Lord takes me. I found this little tree, and then when I look around and I went at the back there, I saw this, the red bricks, and inside of the house, red bricks. Oh my Lord, I said, the dream that I had, the blue house. You mean to say I'm going to move here? That's what I said, because Jesus said, in my time, I will take you here.
God gave me lots of gifts, and I was able to make some money, and God, Jesus says, if I give you gifts, I want you to use these things for my purpose, not for yours.
So, from Kingston, Canada, Emma moved to the Marian Manor in Bloomsbury, New Jersey. Bill Pote set up a foundation to address all of Emma and the prayer house's needs. And Emma continued to go on mission all over the U.S. and to other parts of the world.
And I said to the Lord, why did you choose me, Lord? I am a sinner.
Then the Blessed Virgin appeared to Emma on the 8th of September and December with a message concerning the Philippines. In the September message, Emma claims the Virgin said, on December 8, the Blessed Mother made reference to the Mountain of Salvation. Emma then revealed to those present that the mission in the Philippines would be heavy with a lot of persecution, but that the Virgin had said that if her children in the Philippines would open their hearts to listen to the message and follow her son's call, he would reward his people and country of the Philippines. He will rebuild the destroyed. Your land will be an example of love and peace to the surrounding nations. So Emma again went back to her homeland, this time on a special mission to look for the mountain of salvation that she had seen in her dream.
The priest is the one guiding her. And then we passed by Don Bosco, and then it suddenly occurred to me that I had a place here in Don Bosco. And then when we were near, she said she felt something in her heart, and then she turned to me and she said, Jerry, this is the place that the blessed I have seen in the dream.
So in December 2004, Emma returned with some 200 members of the La Pieta prayer groups and had her first public encounter with the Virgin. She has returned every year since then, and as word spread, more and more devotees would convene on the 8th of September and December on the Mountain of Salvation to be a part of this spiritual event.
Because God showed me the mountain that I have to do the mission and all the people that I saw. And then one by one, I met all these people. And wherever I go, I see these people. I have seen you already.
She believes that there will be more than one mountain in the Philippines that will be of spiritual significance to her people.
Jesus said to me, you will go to the mountains. So I think the meaning, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, there will be a mountain of salvation in that place. He has the design. He has the plan. I don't know the plan of God.
The Philippines will be the center of spirituality for the whole world. and that this has been the plan of God since the beginning of time. It has been the will of the Father.
I think you almost expect a message like that, because the Philippines is known even among Marian groups in conferences. When I go to conferences abroad, when they know I'm from the Philippines, and they always say, oh, that's where the triumph of the Immaculate Heart will start. And I think you know that we have a Filipino expression that says, bahala na. And I'm told that that is a shortcut of bathala na, or God will provide, or in God we trust. So when you say why the Blessed Mother has these messages for the Philippines, we almost expect that it has to be.
But I just feel that I have to do what He wants me to do. And before I do it, I pray, let it be your will.
You know, Emma herself, I believe that she, in her simplicity, she is really a good instrument of God. And an instrument is always, you know, the instrument is an instrument. And you can, after a while, you can discard the instrument now when the purpose is achieved. And what is the purpose of choosing this instrument? Humble and simple, no? Just to tell all of us, no, that we have a task to fulfill. And that our OFWs are not there just because of economic reasons. They're everywhere because there is an evangelical reason. There is a spiritual reason. And you know, even the Jews, no, after the time of Christ, they were dispersed all over the world. But they were being used by God to bring the Christianity to every point of the world.
God chose the people in the Philippines, the little island, and the people in the Philippines who are poor, but they still smile. They still smile because God said, I will never leave my children because I chose you. That day I will reward my people. I will rebuild all the destroyed in your place. He said, and He said, what I promised, I will do. What I have said, I will fulfill. And I believe in my heart that one day there will be peace, love, and joy in our country and to the whole world if we will open our hearts to that message, because there is only one who can help us with the help of Our Lady, Blessed Mother, that this world will change. Love, peace, and joy. It is not hard to do it, because if we will just open our heart like me, as a sinner, I am a sinner, but God loves us. His love is unconditional, and we have to open our heart for that message.
In spite of all the amazing signs and wonders that are a part of Emma's life, it soon becomes apparent that the conversions are brought about by her persona, open-hearted, humble, cheerful, and generous, of her time and of herself. Her unwavering belief in a God who is in charge is an integral part of who she is, and all this is what she brings to others. But these too are common attributes of our people. In every part of the world, one can find Filipino workers with this same humility, joy, generosity, and the gift of faith that they wholeheartedly share with others. This is the face that most of the world sees, very much like the face of Emma.